So Saint starting off with the rack of BHIOPRW. A lot of heavy consonants there. He's looking to unload 3 of them. What do you think, Will? Brow,
Yeah,
wop, something like that.
I'm liking WAP, and there we see it mere seconds
Maybe whip.
after you mentioned it. There is a possibility of whip. I think I do. I don't mind WAP. Ori exchanges
Oh my goodness.
instantaneously, and Saint draws decent tiles to go with his BIR, except for that Q, which is the fly in the ointment, as it so often is. It's going to be tough for him to use the Q. I only
Don't
see
think he can.
Niqab here.
Oh, niqab is beautiful find there. You always have to
Um,
look for those Q without U words. Niqab sometimes can really you can really forget about that one. So I think seeing niqab here would be extremely important for Saint. Otherwise, he might exchange. And here we see niqab, Saint demonstrating his amazing word finding ability. And yeah, I mean that's got to be it. Let's see what Ori does. Maybe just KV.
That's possible. Cat KV looks pretty good. I guess because he doesn't have an A, he's not going to be able to hit that triple. I was wondering if maybe he had some kind of underlap with Chi here, but I'm not seeing it. I don't think he has quite the right consonants to get that down. Vickerly also would be a very flashy idea, but KV also very strong, keeping a really nice bingo leave of EILR together.
I didn't know that hook onto iCarly. Wow. I mean that's quite a useful one there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the iCarly hook. Unfortunately, not valid yet, but maybe she will become a household name the way Kleenex and Band-Aid have become at some point. So, yeah, but just building off what Josh said about niqab, that is kind of a muscle memory thing with that cue. You know about chi, you know about cat, but actually it's tricky to think of some of those. I feel like most often missed are words like cough, QOPH, and trank and sank, right? Sonk, as some of us like to say. But yeah, we do see KV go down. That looks like a strong play, scoring decently. And
And
another exchange.
it forces him to exchange. Saint having all consonants except the blank. You have to just get rid of 4 of those. RT blank seems like the strongest leave here. And Growlier comes down. That was a
Wow.
nice draw. And look at this second blank already.
So Growlier really bails out that rack. Really unappealing rack unless you have one of those bingo tiles to play it through with those 2 R's and a G and an O. But Orry does manage to bingo with that rack through the open W, so that's a stroke of luck for him. And Saint, as Josh mentioned, with both blanks on his rack here, I think he should definitely bingo here, but will he spot the plays that end in ON, which exist here? There are plays that he can make
Yeah,
to the
it's
triple.
exertion is one of them, right? With the S.
That's right. If you can
Um,
have an insertion, apparently you can exertion, and that would play here for a score in the 90s.
an extrusion. Wow, that
WTF
too.
also pointing out extrusion here. So 2 different plays that score quite nicely to the ON on the board.
Now that would be amazing.
Truly,
Amazing find.
truly awesome if either of those plays is actually made here. I myself would be quite content with simply exciters through the E of Growlier just to make sure I'm bingoing with my X. And maybe there's even some idea somewhere of simply just playing like XIS and niqabs, leaving RT blank blank. If you don't see those bingos,
Boom!
he
What a
spots it.
find! Oh my
Tremendous.
god. That is
Now,
incredible.
will Orry challenge this
I mean, this is a
play?
relatively normal English
I think
word.
so too. Yeah, I think so too. I think Orry just
Oh
his
my
cap.
god.
I will do a cap tip to
That
Saint
is,
there for a truly amazing find. Extrusion to ON on the board, a 9-letter word. Awesome.
I
Saint,
mean,
truly
come
awesome.
on, guys. That's top level. If I've ever seen top level Scrabble, a 9-letter word with
2
both
blanks.
blanks and an X to an ON that's already on the board. Like, who would
We love
even
it. We
think of
love
these
it.
things
We love it.
besides you and me, right, Will?
Well, I don't think I would see that,
I only
honestly.
saw exertions before you mentioned that there was the possibility. I saw exertions. That doesn't hit the triple. That's a very sad 9-letter word. So extrusion, beautiful, beautiful play. Orry's down 53. How does he respond? Do you play cap on through this from the sea?
I think that's a solid idea. It scores okay. It's not ideal to leave EUK on your rack for next turn. Certainly your bingo chances are not great, but at the very least, keeping the K over for next turn does ensure that your ability to score decently somewhere will be quite solid. Of course, this board, as currently constituted, not a great deal of good scoring spots
Oh, wow.
available. And this could be an opportunity here. We've actually seen this word, if he chooses ruinated. I think we saw this exact bingo be played earlier in the tournament of ruinated. We
Yeah.
may see urinated instead
Or
here.
indurate. Yeah. I think
So
indurate
yeah,
might be fine as well. But ruinated comes down for a second time. If anybody managed to guess that on the prediction, did you ever write that prediction about what word will we see again? This
I
is
don't
the
think I
third
did.
word
No.
that we've randomly seen across multiple games more than once. That's pretty insane.
And what were the others? Are we counting persona and inbox into that?
No, persona, and what was the other one? I don't actually remember. It was an inbox.
Or was it a bingo?
Man, I'm hopefully somebody in chat can remind us. I
I
feel
just remember persona was played twice yesterday, which again, very rare. There's just so many, literally thousands of 7s and 8s. And you only see 1 or 2 of them per game typically. The best Scrabble players at finding those long words that are out there only average between 2 and 2.5 bingos per game. So there are, I think there's, in the realm of 30,000. Well, in this dictionary, there's probably slightly less, something like 25,000 7-letter words and 35,000 8-letter words. Only a few of them get played every game. So to see 2 of them be played in the same 20-game tournament by different players is very rare, extremely rare.
I mean, just look at it this way. We're seeing 20 games over a period of 2 days, and if at most the players in these games are both averaging 2 bingos, that's 80 bingos out of however many, 25 to 35,000 or 60,000 words, 60 to 70,000 words even, and we see the same one twice. I mean, that's something's wrong.
Yeah,
I think
it's
I think
fun. That's the
Cesar
fun.
I think Cesar has rigged this website.
Oh God, don't even start on that. But yeah, I think basically the most cutting edge randomizing algorithm being used, but of course, we've had debates about that, about online platforms till now to the end of time. So anyway, we see faulty go down. That looks pretty good for Saint, who is now up by almost 100 points. But again, we just caught Orry win a game a couple rounds ago where he was losing by 150 points several turns into the game, roughly this far into the game. So we'll see if he can make magic happen again here against a very tough opponent. So
Yeah.
what to do here? He does play. That
So
seems quite good, right?
yeah, Cleft came down. That seems like by far the best play. I mean, Cleft in the same spot might have been advisable if you're thinking, well, there's 9. Actually, okay. So from Ori's perspective on Clift, there were actually 9 E's left unseen to him. So it's possible that playing that E instead with Cleft might have been might have been something worth thinking about. I'm sure GI Joel in the chat would have played Cleft, as I know that he's very averse to keeping E's on his rack when there's so many left to come. And AWE, a very obvious play for Saint to make, keeping the AEMS leave. That seems pretty solid.
Yeah, was there some idea that maybe if the scores were reversed, maybe he would play Wame there to try to make his S more lucrative and keep a little more openness?
Possibly, although
But
that does get hit hard
it
regardless.
sure does. Yeah, it gets paralleled. It gets hit through the E with some good scoring plays. Yeah, maybe a little too risky. I think just AWE is still a little bit safer, and especially with Saint being the one with a strong lead in the game, it looks absolutely warranted. And Orry with an absolute killer of a rack here.
You see those E's striking.
Yep, he can't bingo. He can't score. You heard Josh talk about it a moment ago. The E is a totally great vowel to have, but there is too much of a good thing, and he's just got E overload there. As he just plays OE for a solid score, 18 points, hoping to get some help from some consonants on his next turn.
And really, really nice combination here for Saint. It seems pretty close to a bingo here. I'm not sure. I don't think he has anything immediately, but he's really keeping his rack very balanced, which is a very important thing you need to do when you're on the lead, when you're leading the game. Excuse me, on such a board. I mean, things can open up at any point, and keeping balanced tiles, which is, like I said earlier, you want to keep 3 consonants for 2 vowels as much as you can, something along those lines. That's basically the balance you're looking for when you make your play. So it's almost as important to leave tiles on your rack that you can work with than to score points. And we see that Saint is taking that very seriously. He's probably not going to have a bad rack anytime soon.
Yeah, this is definitely going well for Saint. The board, obviously not so good for bingoing. Gary Oak, nice to see you, Gary. We had a rack of Garys with 2 R's that was we saw earlier. But a good point that the play that Orry made of OE did have a nice setup of that lane on column C going down. You can now put a T, an E, an O to hook YER for ire, tire, oyer, right? There's a bunch of things now that fit for bingos down that lane. If Saint wants to block that lane and leave himself really good bingo tiles, he can simply play Berm through the ER of Growlier and Awe. That would cut that lane off at a cost of making a new lane underneath the M of Berm going across. I don't know. The nice thing about Berm is that in a vacuum, it's a nice play to leave yourself really good bingo tiles. Maybe it's more of a lateral move in terms of board openness or closedness. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't like it. You're saying through the ER?
Yeah, just to leave yourself such good. It does. Yeah, you can get hit down with a big scoring play. That's true.
I don't think Saint is ahead by enough because if you do play Berm, 16 points, that's 87-point lead. But if any play comes down from BERME,
J and Z could really hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, although it is very unlikely Orry has either of those because, as we just saw, he played 2 1-point vowels for a low score. But yeah, I think a play more like Damn. I mean, it was suggested in the chat to play Bears or Mares, overlapping AWE, forming RAI, EWE, and SER, just to maximize score and also deal with that lane you were just talking about. That was also a great idea. But Damn, keeping that balance is very good. And there was no pun intended with that.
That's right. And we see F go down very quickly for Orry. That scored 30 points. So I think more Orry's just trying to score and stay in range. Just want to say, Gary, thank you. So, sub to the channel. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Gary Oak is my personal Gary, like in Pokemon, how the bad guy is named Gary, like your arch rival. So basically, I consider Gary Oak to be If I am Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, that's Gary Oak to my Ash. So, okay, starting to cut. All right, we'll do push to talk. Let's see.
Yeah, so now Saint, I mean, he doesn't have much time left. That's the one advantage Ori has here, is he can really push the time pressure on Saint here. This board isn't that great. Although that C and Clift is really, really, really hard to block. And if you've been watching Will's videos on YouTube, you know that the C is the second most popular letter to start 7 and 8 letter words. So at eventually it will be probable that as we see Cerulean City coming down,
Wow. Gary
Pokemon word
Oak.
Gary Oak just
Gary Oak, what do you think of that? Bingo, Cerulean City coming down. Oh, but wow,
but look
Saint.
at this. Savines is
Yeah,
Vinas.
Saint is going to. So, just for a fleeting moment, Ori probably is thinking, wow, I got a chance in this game. But Saint is probably about to finish this off pretty quickly. I
And
can't
look
imagine.
at that play of Berg, just so gutsy. He had 2 of the 3 remaining S's, and he decided, you know what? Let's give Ori one chance, and if he can't hit that Berg's hook now, I'm gonna hit him hard, and this is about as hard as it gets. Savines comes down, anagram Vinas SSE, 91 points. Ori is once again way on his back feet here, and he's gonna have to think of something. Look at this
Yeah,
rack. He's so close to interage Gratiné.
yeah, he's close. That R of Bergs is so tantalizing. There are 8 letter bingos through that R, but of course, none playable here. Yeah, Dekron has pointed out there might be options in other lexicons, but Ori is going to have to buckle down and figure something out. It's going to be very difficult for him both to score well and keep letters that are promising for him to bingo on his next turn. So Saint, very, very strong position here. Not really sure what Ori's going to do, but I have to say, Orry, one of the most, we've seen it already, one of the most creative players out there. If anybody can figure anything out from this mostly hopeless position, I would think it would be Orry Swift. So we'll see what he comes up with.
Yeah, Ori Swift is maybe the most clutch Scrabble player there is, to be perfectly honest, and to use words that some of you some of you enjoy. The clutch is strong with Ori Swift, and he is not out of it at this point. Let's see what he comes up with because I'm not seeing much at all.
Yeah, this looks mostly hopeless. The main problem here is very simple. Ori very close to a bingo, but if he goes full on to try to get that bingo down, the odds of Saint having either the J or the Z, if not both, are extremely high. And the problem there is even if Ori does eventually get his bingo, those tiles are going to hit too hard for Saint to run his lead up to a point where the eventual bingo doesn't even matter. So that's very difficult situation for Ori to navigate. Sometimes, as you know, as really strong of a player as Ori is, there just is no satisfying solution in situations like this. You're not going to come up with a play that makes you feel good because none probably exists. So
I don't know, is there any love for a play like playing off the AEGN and like going for monotheist or something from the MON? I don't know. That might be a bit desperate here, but he's going to need to get something considerably powerful here. And that's the only thing I'm seeing so far with my little pea brain. But
that's incredible. Yeah.
AEGN, where do you play those letters even? Um, if Monotheus would score 98, and that might be it. I don't know. You might need you need some outside shot here because it's unlikely that Saint has letters that are really gonna kill him next turn. Um, as you can see, there's a lot of weird clunky letters: the H, the J, the Z in there. But if you have any of those, you should be able to score decently.
Yeah, good point though by Joel, which is that those tiles don't have any glaringly obvious spots on the board that hit super hard. Um, so maybe you can get lucky and Saint will have a rack that has ZJ on it or some unwieldy combination where he somehow is not able to score that well with his heavy tiles. That is possible here.
And
Um,
I do like also the suggestion of Sidewinder in chat. I mean, always one-upping us, fishing the AE for monetizing, trying to draw specifically one of the
wow.
two I's and the
ZI.
Z,
You just need
which
ZI.
is
That's not even that crazy. There's
way
two
more
eyes.
likely than playing 4 tiles for a specific one of the 3 O's, one of the S, the T, and the H. It's way harder to draw those things. So, I don't know, monetizing could also work, I think. Is it good with the S?
That's the best idea I've seen so far. Fishing AE,
Okay, so he
and
fishes
Orry
the
just
A.
fishes the he fishes the E.
Sorry, I don't know why I said the A. He fishes
And
the E, and I think what
we
he's trying
see
to
that
do
Saint has JZ anyway, so
I think he's trying to block that H spot or something, complicate things a little bit. I'm not sure.
he must have something in mind though. Maybe he just wants to get a 7, maybe he just wants to get a bingo down um, at any cost, even if it's not a particularly heavy hitting one. Because again, we do still have to think about spread as a concern. This particular tournament is playing out in a very strange way where the two players that are pacing the field in the NWL division right now each have tie games. So what that means is their win totals are 1/2 ahead of players like Orry that have not tied a game. So in those cases, spread, the margin of victory that you've accumulated, no longer is relevant as a tiebreaker. So, but typically in these situations, you do have to think about, well, if I'm going to lose this game, maybe I should just try to lose by less. So yeah, pointing out Jomon potentially. I was just gonna maybe say size, right, to the S of extrusion. Just score 30 and continue to
Yeah,
run that lead up.
that looks really good. Join
Instead, we
comes
do
down,
see join.
so
Okay.
blocking the R, I guess it does one thing. Um, and we're gonna see what are we gonna see here?
I have no
We
idea.
I don't think we
There are no bingos available here for Orry. Um, honestly, no idea what he will end up playing to give himself a chance. I guess that's the same fish for monetizing is theoretically still available here, is it not? Or wait,
yeah, it
yeah,
is.
so he could still go for that. We know that he can't hit it.
I
Um,
think Ire was quite the heads up play though. Like, not only does it block that easy spot to drop the H for 30, that spot is also important. The B column is important for bingo. So I think by playing Ire, you make it less possible to block that lane lucratively. So I like the idea behind Ire. I just fear it doesn't score enough.
right, and that was just the risk that you run in that position is there's too many goals that you have to achieve all at once. That's a great idea of potentially playing Ire, making it more difficult to obstruct that B column lane. But of course, you have so many goals to balance. You want to score with that play. You want a bingo on your next turn. You want to stop your opponent from scoring. There's just no way to achieve all of those at once. So yeah, he can hit monetizing with just an S too. So not
Yeah,
the
but
IZ or IS draws.
it's
Um,
impossible, unfortunately, knowing that the eye is on Saint's rack. But
yep,
yeah, I don't know. That sort of fish, that might have been the only way to win the game. Something for monetizing, monotheism, both kind of really long shots. But when you're down 90 points on this board and you don't have anywhere to score, it's really dire. So I'm not sure. Now, like a beautiful scoring rack for Saint. One tile in the bag. He has to be a bit careful, but I think he can calculate his way to victory here.
Something like Gizmo is probably totally fine, I would think, to the G of Bergs. If you're worried about some crazy play coming down from MON, that would deal with that. With this pool, there isn't any. I don't think there is anything to worry about. You just got to
Yeah.
score and make sure you use your Z.
Yeah, you might have to just let Orry play like ousting or outings. There's Rhizome, yeah, that would fit, but DI unfortunately not valid in the lexicon here. But yeah, Gizmo, that scores 34. Okay, so he blocks with Zit, but it's probably enough, but it's kind of worrisome if I was in that position. Like, what if there's some crazy play that just wins the game for Orry
Yeah,
from the
if there
MON?
was, yeah, if you somehow gave up a play like,
But maybe that's a
egotized or
good
something.
spread play.
Yeah, it might be a good play. Just from Saints' perspective, there are no E's left or anything like that. So it seems pretty ironclad that Z is not going to hurt you to put out in space. Um, so yeah, maybe that's okay. Hard to say. I think a lot of different ways he could have gone there. Saints definitely going to come up with a solid win here and set Orry back in the NWL Open Division. So did I? Oh, I don't think I did a prediction for this. Sorry, everybody.
Hmm.
So now it's just academic. What is the best sequence here? Always, you'll see these players, no matter what the game situation, no matter how decided the game is, you will see players take their time and try to work out that sequence. Not only because it's important for your tournament standing as a tiebreaker to win by as much as you can, but because it is a fun puzzle. Every turn like this in the end game, I myself just enjoy trying to solve these puzzles at the end of the game, even if it's a totally lost game for me. Do you feel that way too, Josh?
Yep, it's important. As I'm mentioning it over and over again. Even if spread isn't a factor, working on your end game is just as important as it is in chess. It's really the only time in the game where you have perfect information, where there's one clear as crystal optimal play that you need to make to maximize your differential. And it when it matters the most, you'll be happy that you took your time in a bunch of irrelevant end games.
Yeah, it's great practice too, as you said, just to get into that habit every time, try to find it. You have this time, you might as well use it. The only counter argument is that mental resources are kind of finite, like you could spend a lot of
Well,
time and
speak for yourself.
energy. Well, I'm an older guy now, an old man. Um, but
All right, so Saint blocks test on, I guess.
testing, yeah, test on, right.
Yeah.
Seems like
If
a good
you're
idea.
wondering why we're wearing these masks, don't worry, we're gonna take them off, I think, for next round, but chat told us to. And chat is boss. Test on
Yeah, you could
blocks
see
and
they have a
now.
Scrabble pattern, right? People see that, right?
Yeah, I think, well, mine is harder to see, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, Snot comes down, and I think there's a number of outs here for Saint, and yeah, that'll be it. Saint wins by 101 points, and beautiful game, beautiful play of extrusion. Wow, what an amazing find.
That was
Followed
awesome.
by Ruinated, and then just when Orry thought he had a chance to get back into the game, after Berg, Savines comes down, and that was the dagger.